Hi everyone, Dr. Zhivago here. I have a lot of questions about my name, and everyone asking me, are you a real doctor? And I'm like, that's a really tough question, because if you ask me, was Dr. Seuss ever a real doctor when he first started? No. So, where did I get Dr. Zhivago? Well, Dr. Zhivago is my legal name, unlike Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss used his mother's maiden name, I believe, and he put a doctor in front of it because he was supposed to become a doctor, but instead he became a journalist, cartoonist, and he worked as an animator for the U.S. Army. Well, when I wanted to be a cartoonist, that didn't really happen automatically. I went to school for design, clothing design, because that was my when you take a test in high school and they ask you what kind of career do you want to go through, and I did the test, and my test came out fashion design. So I was like, wow, yeah, that sounds really great. I want to be a fashion designer. I want to sew. My mom really loves sewing, and the influences of me sewing came out, I'm going to really do this. So I went through school, and to make a long story short, I went to FIDM, Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in San Diego, and then I transferred to Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in Los Angeles. Well, I did get my degree. I got my degree in fashion design, and then I did actually work in the fashion industry. My first job was computer-aided design, and that was phenomenal back then because the technology back then was 1989. Shit, no one really had computer technology unless you were a real high-tech company. So in San Diego, they had a company called Biba's Creations in National City, and I applied and I got the job. Well, the job was for me to take pattern makers were there and drapers, and our job was to take like a piece of clothing, like say Chanel or Ralph Lauren or Anne Klein, measure shoulder to shoulder, all the buttons, everything, and recreate it. They called it knockoffs. And we recreated these items with a little, hint of different distinction to it. So it's not necessarily a copy, it was a knockoff or an inspiration. Well, my job was to take the pattern pieces and input them into the computer. And then the computer would take the pieces and lay them out onto a large-scale printer. And the pattern pieces would be strategically on this, on the layout, so that would save fabric. So this was also economical for the company. So my job was to input pattern pieces into the computer. My very first job in the fashion industry. And they would take these rolls of paper and then FedEx them to India, and they would develop them over there and manufacture the clothing in India, and then they would prepare them and then sell them to Walmart. Okay, this is where you got all. This is what happens today. Okay, all those clothes that you see out there that look like Michael Kors. Not really. They're knockoffs. And how do you get them into the computer? Well, that's how you do it. And that was my first job, and I remember getting paid $3.25. And I was like, I went to school to get paid $3.25. Oh, hell no. I was getting paid as much as somebody at Jack in the Box was getting paid. So I went back to school, but I still worked in that field. Went back to school, working in the fashion industry, and I finally decided I want to go into the medical field. I tried out nursing. I really didn't like it because, I didn't want to wipe butt all my life. And I wanted to do something like flight nursing or something like that, but, you had to go through that, the clinical stages, and I didn't want to work hospice. It was so depressing. So I decided to go into surgery, and I got my degree as a surgical technician. And in the field, they call them surgical scrub nurses. So that's what I did for 17 years. I mean, I helped with everything from life to death, from every surgical procedure known to man. I've been up orifices. I have disconnected eyeballs and held amputated legs and joints, you name it. I put Humpty Dumpty back together again. I put boobs on Humpty Dumpty. I helped, life-saving procedures. I was once in a spacesuit for total knee replacements. I put implants. I helped implanted things in people. Glued, cemented, drilled, sawed. I was, poked by needles, sliced with scalpels. So if anyone wants to ask, hey, was Dr. Zhivago ever a doctor? Well, shit, I was close to it, So that's where I got my nickname, okay? So I went into surgery, was married. My husband's last name is Zhivago, and the surgeons would call me and say, hey, Dr. Zhivago, welcome to surgery. Today we're going to do enucleation. Oh, welcome, Dr. Zhivago. Glad for you to join us. Oh, how's the wife, Flora? Oh my God, it was just so annoying going to work, and then the surgeons would call you Dr. Zhivago. For 17 years, I endured this, and it was just, finally, I said, I'm going to retire. I was a right-brained person. I wasn't really into surgery or medical field, but I did it, made great money doing it, and I also worked after school. After work, I volunteered as a cartoonist, and I taught, children how to create cartoons and all of that at YMCA, Children's Museum, hospitals, libraries, what have you. I would teach kids the art of cartooning back in 1996. For over 20 years, I did this. Finally, I did retire from that medical field and went into cartooning full-time and have my own business, Dr. Zhivago, cartoon and animation, vector graphics with iPads, and also Dr. Zhivago Global branding, licensing my characters out to different businesses, and also the performance part of it with Sakura Theater. And so that's what I'm doing. So the children and the school staff call me Dr. Zhivago. Everyone calls me Dr. Zhivago because I am like Dr. Seuss, a cartoonist and author, and now playwright. And that's where I got it. I was given the name Dr. Zhivago. And if everyone asks how I got that, well, now you know the story. It was forced to me because, Dr. Zhivago is a movie. It's one of these. It's a movie. It's a book based on a Russian doctor written by Boris Pasternak. It was an Oscar-winning movie. It's phenomenal how the story turned out. My story. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just a person that has an imagination that just happened this way. It's just destiny, right? When you're given something, you just kind of like, just take it, and hopefully you can, inspire others to be their very best. So basically, taking the spirit of art and making a career out of it and inspiring people to be artistic, that's phenomenal. So anyways, that's my story. I don't want this to go very long, but I hope you all are having a great day. I'm going to be working on more of the Sakura Theater, and I hope you follow my journey. All right, guys. Have a great day. It's a little bit gloomy outside. Stay warm and stay dry. Bye.